Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining Perspective Nation. Today, we are going to be talking to the Executive Committee Chair for Afro Fest, and we are going to be trying to get a lot of information about how Afro Fest is managed, how it's planned, how what's the history, how we got to the point where we are today, and what is the future. The person I'm talking about is Mr. Pascal Atem. But before we get into that, I'd like to wish my Nigerians, they'll be celebrating their Independence Day. I think they already started celebrating in Nigeria. Nigeria got its independence in 1960. And while we celebrate this anniversary, I hope everybody will remember that not just Nigeria, but all over Africa, that we're still having a crisis, especially crisis with identity. And I hope on this day, we should reflect on that as we celebrate. Within our community in Toronto and the other small cities, Milton and Mississauga, there are events going on at those places. Please, if you have the time or you know somebody, please check out our brothers and sisters from Nigeria and wish them a happy anniversary or join them in this celebration. Also, Oke Bakassi is in town. He's going to be doing a live presentation at the National Event venue in Toronto. So if you are interested in that, please go support our brother. Champs event is also doing a black and white party. This is usually an annual event that they invite people to show up dressed to impress in black and white. And one of our own musicians will be presenting their live. Please, if you have a chance, do not sleep the whole day tomorrow. Join Champs event at 55 Guided Court in Etobicoke. With that said, we also have some brothers running for public office. Well, not brothers and sisters. We have Ayo, who is running for city councillor in Kitchener. We have Gabriel Tambe running for city councillor, Toronto Ward 5. We have Eric Tako running for city councillor on Cambridge Ward 1. We have Idosa Adams. She wants to be a trustee on the Houghton Catholic District School Board, which is Milton, Wards 2 and 3. And we have Chidi. He is running for city councillor, Guelph Ward 1. I know there are some other people. There's a Jamaican sister running in Brampton. I don't have her details, but please, if you are in any of those cities or those areas, make sure you try to reach out and support our own. We have to get our own people in public offices. So I think we can now go ahead after all the announcements. I might repeat some of them at the end if we have time, but we have a guest, special guest today, Mr. Pascal Atem. Sir, you are really, really honored. We are happy we have you here, Executive Chair of Afro Fest. Tell us about yourself. Before we get into Afro Fest, tell us who you are.
Well, that's an interesting question, though. I mean, I know it's been for some time now. You know, I keep getting faced with that question because of interviews as such and awards and other, circumstances where I'm always being faced to ask about myself or to say something about myself. Okay. I would just say in brief that, again, my name is Pascal Atem. I am a certified Scrum Master, currently working for Nissan Canada. And I'm married with two beautiful kids. I call them kids, but they're fairly grown. My first will be graduating University of Toronto this year, and the second is in high school. I'm fairly active in sports, and I think that's about my personal and moving into my community life. As you know, I am, maybe just a quick correction for you, I am the president chair of the board of directors of Music Africa, because it's a structure. We do have an executive director who does most of the interface with the community and stuff like that. I mean, we do reach out to the community as much, but I believe in terms of programming, we do have an executive director who does that job. So I am President Chair of the Board of Directors of Music Africa. And Music Africa is the organization that flagships the Afro Fest. I know people tend to put them as lump them as one, Music Africa, Afro Fest as the same thing, and but the organization itself is Music Africa, and I am the chair of the board of directors of Music Africa. We flagship Music Afro Fest as our main event.
All right, thank you, and I stand corrected here. You are right. That is why we have some of these discussions to get some of these clearances. We all in the community, or as we say on the streets, we know you as the person heading Afro Fest, but it's good to get the correct names. And going forward, we're going to address you correctly as the president chair of the board of directors for Music Africa. A part of that, I know you are not just about Music Africa or Afro Fest. I know you've been in other communities. You're a serial volunteer. You've taken part in a lot of associations that have been privileged to see you make a leadership role. I didn't hear that in your introduction. So what are some of these volunteer groups that you are still in or that you've been, which are not associated with Afro Fest or Music Africa?
As we all know, right, Africa, it's a big continent, and within the Toronto area, right, we do a lot of different things. And just let me even bringing it back just to Cameroon, where where I come from, right, we have multiple social groups that we share outside of work and in other events. There are so many different groups that we partner with. Personally, I have reached out and worked with several different communities. As I saw in your introduction, you did mention announced the Nigerian Independence Day. I know some years back when I used to be the representative for MoneyGram, I know I did work with the group leading the Independence Day celebration, because we did used to sponsor them. So I was always in most of their events then, and I continued across the African conglomerate. At the time, those who had events, I would always see me, or be it Liberian, be it Ghana, be it Ethiopians. I mean, wherever, I would find a place, to support in the whatever community event they're doing. So I can't really pinpoint, because I'm like you say, I'm everywhere, wherever there's something, especially if it has to do with the African culture and music, which is my passion. You would definitely find me somewhat involved. In our Cameroonian groups, you would have noticed, I've been as involved as I can, in several different aspects in the community building. So,
all right,
and I continue to do that. I'm somewhat involved with the African Pavilion in the Karasoga, the Aurora Festival. I mean, in most of the festivals that they do now, as long as the Africans are involved, are participating, some way, somehow, I find myself, getting in the mix, and I don't mind doing that.
Yes, I know that. I know you've been doing a lot for the community. I was hoping you would mention the Milton Multicultural Fest, of which Perspective Nation is partner, and you showed up to support us, which we do appreciate a lot. But let's move ahead. Today we are here to talk about Music Africa Afro Fest. So what is the purpose of Afro Fest?
I would start. Afro Fest actually has its inception since sometime in the late 80s to early 90s. So as we say, this year we celebrated our 34th anniversary. Again, that makes us, 34 years old. So I think I'm right in saying that, so we've been in existence and we've grown over time throughout these years. But what AfroFed typically does is that we actually leverage or partner, like we serve as more or less the liaison between Africans and the diasporans, music and culture. So it's when I say Africans and the diasporans, I just mean the Black. So be it from Jamaica, be it from Haiti, be it from wherever in outside of the African boundaries, we serve as some more or less a place for expression for this artist, and also when it comes to the culture, finding ways to promote our culture. As I said earlier, Africa is rich in culture, so there is a lot to show out there. There's a lot to give out there, and so we serve as that umbrella,
Okay.
to showcase this.
Yeah. Okay. I keep hearing use when you're talking about Afro Fest, the history. You keep saying we. I've not heard you say, "Oh, I do this." Or so when you talk of we, let me push it to your executive team or the team that our community should be referring to, or we might understand when you say we. Who are the other members of this team that are under you, or that you control, or that you work with, and what are their specialties?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, like I said, I am the chair of a board. And so the board is made up of a team, other members, like there's a vice chair, there is uh, somebody who is in charge with the coordination, someone who is in charge with the finances, and we do have an office. So it's a board, it's almost a 12-man board. We have a volunteer coordinator, we had an organizing coordinator, we have all these factors part of the board. I don't know if you want me to go ahead and start naming my board. They are not here. I don't think you will make
No. I just want to know the structure. That's fine.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. So as a board, as I said, the way we are structured, we do have an executive director who more or less, does the programming, and then we have the board of directors that deals more with the decisions, right, on how to go about managing or organizing our flagship, the festivals. We have other events that we do throughout the year, like the Black History Month. We have a series of concerts that we do during the Black History Month. We partner with the Jazz Festival, showcase. So we have other things that we do, and we do music education, more especially, for most of our local artists. We help them in terms of, other structural management.
Okay. We'll come to the other things that you are known for doing, or that Music Africa does. But let me focus again, or let me zoom in again on you. How does somebody from Cameroon shows up in Canada and becomes the president of the chair or board of directors for an institution like Music Africa, or the head of Afro Fest, as I would like to call it?
Okay, so I think personally, right, I think I have been an ardent member of Music Africa for close to 12 years. Or I could even say throughout my stay. I've been in Canada for almost 15 years or more, and throughout this time, I have been very involved with Music Africa until becoming the chair. The last 5 years, I've been kind of leading the ship. How I became involved, it's interesting. I became involved in Music Africa. First, I mean, there are two strings to this. First, through, as I told you, I was managing, I was the lead contact for MoneyGram for some time. And while I was there, Afro Fest was one of them, the Music Africa or Afro Fest was one of the events that we sponsor. So attending this event as a sponsor, I got involved as a sponsor, trying to know what they were doing. And given that I do have a music background myself, and I was coming from the States, where I was actually running a multicultural event as well. And this was not just like focus on Africa. It was the entire, we used to call it a Festival of Nations. So we had over 35 nations be part of this event. It's a big event that we do yearly, annually in them, doing this in Minnesota. So I was leading this event prior to moving to Canada. So when I came and then I saw what Music Africa was doing, and with the expertise that I've had in trying to manage these kinds of events, it was just a seamless connection. First, my contact as a sponsor, helping them financially, and then my background that I brought in with the music arena. It was very seamless for me to just join in, and then by contributing, other members, they saw that, well, you know what, if they have to have someone lead, they thought, I had the qualities and the
all right. I'll focus on you before
what it took to lead.
I'll focus on you before we move away. They always say the person at the top, or the head that bears the crown, suffers the weight of the crown. Afro Fest is the biggest musical festival in the whole of North America. Some person has even told me that it could be the biggest in the world. And is this not a huge responsibility for you? Are there nights that you sleep and wonder, and you think about how much responsibility you owe your community?
It is always something that you have to have in the back of your mind when you're doing this kind of work, right? But again, because it's the kind of thing that you do because of the love for it, I like and I cherish communities coming together. I believe that I have that knack to support and promote stuff like this. As I told you, I have a background in this already. So the types of things that Afrofest does are things that, I have been typically doing, promoting artists, having events. So these are things that, so it was more or less for me a natural feel. But true, there is that urge when you are preparing the event, right? You want to make sure that, you dot all your I's and cross all your T's and stuff like that. So, and there are times when you find yourself, like you would have noticed, I could just mention the event that we had last year, or this last Afro Fest.
Yeah, we are going to focus on that. I think that's one of the reasons that we had to bring you here to talk about how successful that event was. I think we are going to talk on that. But let's.
No, I was just going to mention this kind of things that make you maybe lose sleep. Like when you have an artist, call you the eve, the vendor, oh, you know what, they can't make it. And then now you have to start finding ways, okay, how do you fit in someone else? What do you do to compensate and stuff like that? Those are the things that, they drive you crazy, but, you do what you have. But those things they exist and you have to deal with them.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you but you've been successful. I have to say that I've been attending Afrofest for some time, and a lot of people, when I put it out there that you'll be here, are like, oh yeah, he's been really successful. And we are going to talk about some of the challenges later on. So Afrofest, those who've not been there, or before somebody like me even went to the venue, I thought it was just music. But when you get there, you discover it's not just music. Can you tell us some of the other things that people, let's say somebody who is listening or somebody who is on this podcast who has never been there, can you explain some of the things that a person would find or enjoy if they come to an Afrofest event?
Like you said, Afrofest is not just music. It is a cultural melting pot. And when I say this, it's because, those who enjoy music, true, maybe that may be their drive to come to Afrofest. But again, when you come to Afrofest, you have all these African vendors, you have all these African artifacts, you have a lot of other stuff that you would see that is, maybe brings you back to Africa. No matter where, from the north, the south, the east, the west, wherever you come from in Africa, we make sure that there is something there. There's a place for you to showcase your culture, or the African culture, as I say, because trust me, there is a lot in Africa to promote. There is a lot in Africa to share. and we AfroFest is that avenue, to showcase all of these beautiful things that Africa has to offer. So
So
there's music, there's food, there's clothing, there's design, there's fashion. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff that you find there when you come to an Afro festival.
how do you choose who, like when you come there, I've been there, there's just so many vendors. How do you choose which vendor is located where or how it's arranged? How is that done?
Typically, quite frankly, there are some vendors that maybe, they may have had picked some locations, in the past, and then they want to maintain the locations, some who have migrated. But what happens is that we have structural designers that come, when we are doing the setup, we set up the booths and then number them, and then there is a day where we go and then, show when you register. They know they have a day that will come, maybe the day, the eve of the event. They come and then pick their spots, right? So it's not there's no formula to it. Some people, want to maintain their spots. Some people may want to migrate, giving that, or maybe they didn't think that they had the kind of visibility that they wanted. But what we do, we divide the spots. We know where, okay, the food vendors, this is their line, their lane, right? Clothing vendors, this is their lane. Say, okay, south side, clothing vendors, food vendors, east side. So we have that demarcations already made, right? And drinks and stuff. So the demarcations are already made, and then they choose when they come now, you choose based on the delineation where you want to be.
How do you find the vendors? In our community, some people say, oh, they can't get to Afro Fest. There's no way to reach out to you. But I was surprised that during the last event, there was a 6-year-old kid who had a stand and she was selling her own design bags. So how is it possible that you can reach out to 6-year-old kids, and then we have small businesses in our community who cannot come and showcase their work? What's the disconnect in that picture?
I don't think there is a disconnect per se. There's this I think sometimes some people, and it's unfortunate that we do that. We have people that sometimes they may, without even looking for finding information, saying that it's impossible to get a spot. True, it is difficult because we are limited. The city tells us, kinds of gives us an estimation how many vendors we can have at the site. So they give us those guidelines. So we simply go by those guidelines. So if we say we can only have 25 food vendors or 50 food vendors, and then, at the first 50, they get the slot. And then, the information is open out there. Next time, you may want to come sooner and stuff like that. And with respect to the 6-year-old, I mean, we do have a vendor coordinator, right? There may be some particular interest in having a young kid entrepreneur, succeed. So maybe there may be that soft spot in that light, in saying that, okay, well, this is how we can also promote this young kid, what they're doing, and to know that, well, it is possible. But not to say that there's any favoritism or stuff like that. You just have to register when the time comes. And we do announce this on our website, and those who know, they tend to call and find out, okay, when do you start the registrations? How can I? And people do that, So it's not like there is a particular procedure. Yes, there is a form. You have to fulfill the requirements to be able to get a booth. So and those requirements are stuff that are, go ahead.
Where are this, where do they find this information?
At the Afro Fest website. There is a Afro Fest website. Go under vendors, you would get information, the general information. Just Afro Fest, afrofest.ca. So it's www.afrofest.ca. You would find information there. And also, we do have people that, how they call them, influencers, that we would have them during this time. We have information that we put out sometimes at other community events. We have flyers, and lately we are working on a magazine which will make sure that these informations are there. But like anything that has had a longevity, people know it becomes a problem for the newer person. But what I typically do, and any person that has been to Afro Fest, when I am there, not only do I have my card, I walk around with my card, but I make sure that I visit all the vendors and I talk to people, as they say. And there is a vendor booth, there is a membership booth. So we do have all these things at the site, right? That can give you information to how to locate, how to contact us every year. So this is information that they are available out there.
Okay. All right. I hope people listening will share this information, that there's information out there and people can register and get the
and we try our best also to promote, with the means that we have, right? We will do. Last year, for the first time, we had we were able to secure bus banners where we had, so all TTC bus, they carry the Afro Fest this thing, and we had it also, at the TTC site, which gives the visibility that people want. And we did do some radio shows as well, and TV has not been very, very friendly to us, and I know because it's very expensive. With our means, as you all know, maybe if you don't know, this APO, it's a not-for-profit. There is not a lot of money, and our funders are typically, government institutions. So we do with the best we have.
Okay, let's focus on the last Afro Fest. How difficult was it after the pandemic to have this one going?
There will be maybe two approach to this. First, everything we did was very much tentative, and I say this, quite frankly, in the real, because we didn't know what to expect. We've been through 2 years of hiatus where we tried to stay relevant. We did both years. We did do Afro Fest online, but as you know, it cannot be the same. It cannot mimic what we see outside, when we do the events outside. So it was different. It was difficult, very difficult, and we were like not sure. Given those 2 years, a lot of things happened. Some of the vendors that we used to, some of the partners, some of the people that, let's say the services, that we had used, some of them had gone out of business. So it was more or less like coming back, starting something anew, because there were places that, our sound company was out of business. So you have to now start, you have to start finding ways now to, to vet who can do the job and can do the job as good as the one that the previous one. So all of those things. So it was tentative, it was difficult, but I think the good news is that we were able to pull that through, because it was even better than expected.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you,
opinion.
Could you give us, can you tell us how much, approximately how many people turn out this year?
I think based on the statistics, this year we had in the 3 years of the 3 days of the festival, because like for the first time, the government did give us Friday as well. So we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For the 3 years, I mean, there are estimates that go for 100 to 200,000 people showed up because of the 3 days.
Okay, so let's talk about this 3-day event. Around 2016, we were hearing rumors that the city doesn't want Afro Fest to go ahead. The city wanted to restrict it to 1 day. And under your leadership, we are now seeing Afro Fest taking place over a 3-day run. How did it happen? How did you manage to convince, bureaucracy with cities is really difficult. How did you manage to convince the city that this event is worth 3 days? And not just that, you showed it that it's worth 3 days, because now the population So as you say, almost 100 to 200,000. How did you do that?
I think part of it is it's sometimes they say the proof is in the pudding, right? That you see the people see what detractors may come and complain, like we had the community sometimes they complained about, oh, the sound is too loud, and the people didn't like it. They were thinking that, oh man, they were going to send us a little further, give us a bigger space someplace else if we want to continue in the 2 days. But our defense was always that, we all know the Woodbine Park. We all know how busy and how vibrant that place, that area is. It was a good thing. We were happy that we were able to move from a smaller Queen's Park to Woodbine Park, which was a much larger space. And we do know that that space is so big that we are not even utilizing all of the space that we have to our disposal. So for them to tell us that, oh, the space, maybe it's too tight, it's too cramped, maybe we need to go someplace else, I think, so we could easily prove to them that, no, this is the space we are using. This is the space that is still unused that we could tap into. So we don't think that the venue is small, and we know the jazz festival, they do have events there. We know other festivals that take place in the same area. So why us? So we had to just make our case. And
okay, so you are looking at the space, and the number has maybe doubled, and you are still thinking we can go bigger.
We certainly can still go, because there are a lot of space, in that area that we've not tapped into. That we certainly can.
What are you going to do there?
It will take ingenuity, and like every year, there are things that we can always develop, right? And I think that there are more people out there that are still not showing up. I know we have some people that are saying now that, oh, you know what, they wished were in the West side, because that's where the Africans, most of the Africans, they are located, and then some will say they wish we were in the East side, and I know that a lot of Africans now are moving away from the cities, so if you're going in the East, you're going further away from the West, right? If you're going in the West, you're going further away from the East. So we think that we're in the center, for now, until something else happens, we would rather stay there. The space is big enough for us, and at least for 3 days, if people can sacrifice, there's easy commute to the area. That's one thing, because with the subway, you take a subway and the train, and then we have bus that are available for us during that period, that just straight right to the fairground. I know parking sometimes can be a headache, but some of these things you have to give and take, right? If we want to focus on one, then definitely we'll be losing out on the other. So,
well, I think
we think it's a good place.
I think this speaks volume about your leadership. And for those who just joined, let me just repeat: if you have any questions or comments, you can either put up your virtual hand, or you can send it on the comment on the chat, and I'll definitely read it. This discussion is going to be 1 hour. We've already exhausted 30 minutes, so we have approximately just less than 30 minutes to go. And we are talking to the president of the chair of board of directors for Music Africa, who are the ones who organize Afro Fest. Now, we also have words on the streets, let me put it that way, that under your leadership, there are some talks about taking this Afro Fest, not just making it a big event in Canada or North America, but you are thinking of putting some tents or some artists and do an event in continental Africa. Is this something you are planning, or this is one of those informations that you cannot disclose, or you cannot confirm, or you cannot deny?
No, I certainly can confirm that we are spreading our wings, and we thought that, we're making a name, and we're making to us, it was an opportunity to first partner with other African countries, and two, also an opportunity for us to export some of our local artists from here to go also meet African artists in Africa. So we are in our second year, so this is not new. Oh. We're in our second year, and just to tell you, this is the first year. It was more or less a grind, but I could tell you that we did secure funding for this second year. So we are actually, my executive director is right now, as we speak, is in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
So Afro
and
Fest
we just finished our our auditions for artists that we are bringing to Tanzania. We did the same last year, even with COVID. And then we didn't have the kind of support that we had, but we had some meetings with the Ontario Arts Council and the Toronto Arts Council, and they were all very much, in favor of the idea. So we are getting support, the support that we didn't even get the first year. But after our discussions this year with them, quite frankly, I can announce right here that, we did get some funding from the Ontario Arts Council.
So you're saying there will be Afrofest Tanzania, or has there already been Afrofest Tanzania this year?
It is coming in November. There will be Afrofest Tanzania. And what we are doing, we are going to be, like I said, we have local artists that we did actually go through a vetting process. So they auditioned, all the artists here did audition, and we picked a few that we are taking to Tanzania.
Wow.
Dar es Salaam.
Is that going to be a rotating team from one country to another, or you are making or you have some sort of an agreement with the people in Tanzania that every year we are going to be seeing this?
No, as I told you, last year we were in Ghana.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, last year we were in Ghana. That was the first year. That was like a test, a pilot program. Last year we were in Ghana. And so we're just expanding. So this year we are in Tanzania. And so by the end of the year, we would see where would one go next. After the Tanzania, we'll see where one go next. But then, because we're also talking to the governments, whichever government that we're going to, talking to, leveraging our government, leveraging the governments, leveraging us as well, the embassy, the Canadian embassy over there. So wherever we're going, so they know we are coming, and then we get the support that we need.
Does Music Africa see itself as an institution that can certainly put Afro Fest on the map, and maybe in the near future we'll be having multiple events in the same day across the world?
I think that may be a stretch, but certainly what we want to do the Afro Fest, the goal is to make it, even within the Canadian boundaries, to make it national or universal. So we are doing Afro Fest, across Canada. That's something that that would be that's something that we are striving towards.
Yeah,
so we'll do that, and with respect to the African.
Yeah, I hear there's like Afro Fest Sudbury. Are you people attached to that? And which are some of the other towns that you are looking at?
No, well, if we want to do that, I know we've had partnered events with individuals in different places, in Calgary, in Edmonton, in Montreal, in Ottawa. But what we intend to do is to make something that will follow the same structure, the same banner. Because now these people, there is no extended Afrofest. So people may use the name, like you say, Afrofest Sudbury, they will use the name. Even before I became very, very much involved, became part of Afrofest. And I know I'd used that name, the name Afrofest before in the church events. So we are fighting, or we are actually, trying to secure the right, the naming right for Afrofest. But for now we don't have it, and it's a drag, because we do have, even though we are known for it, we hope, as they call, we own the grandfather right to the name, but we don't have the legal name. So we are actually working on getting that, so that that name could be trademarked.
Another innovation that came in during your term is that there are other, it's not just the 3-day event. You have after parties and other events that happen after the event. I noticed that most of the musicians who came, they had some of them stayed a week and they had to do other events. Is this all under Music Africa, or you just say, okay, look, my brothers and sisters, you are here, this is an opportunity, and then you show them the way? How does that work?
What we have actually done, right? And as you said, maybe during my term, we have made, we've kind of revolutionized the Afro Fest and everything around it. And we've actually injected some youth into it. And where youths go, there is a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of excitement. So we're just leveraging that, because some of the things that, let's say, 10 years back, we were not doing. We are just doing those things now, with social media and all whatnot, how it helps us. So we are promoted without even doing a lot of the work.
Okay, let's focus on some of the artists. We talked about this at the beginning. Sometimes you want artists and then they don't show up. What are some of the challenges in you selecting artists? What do you look into when you pick artists, and how do you make that combination? Because as you know, you have to schedule such that there's no conflict in schedule. People have to, logistics is a challenge. How do you go by first picking the artist? Let's start from how do you pick and make sure you have enough artists for an event?
Okay, I think for this though, time is the big factor. So quite frankly, if I tell you that we've started working on artists for Afro Fest 2023 now, so we are already seeing, trying to, having initial discussions with the artists that we are looking at. So time is a great factor. The only way you can pull this through, it's if you do it over time and you take, because you know that you're going to get some yes, you're going to get some no's, you're going to have to persuade some more and stuff like that. So all that work, happens within time. But in terms of what we try to do, right, we know that, what Africa, as I said earlier, and I keep repeating, Africa is big, and Africa has a lot to offer in terms of music and culture, right? So we know that we will not serve the Toronto community well if we were just to get artists from the West, or if we were just to get artists from the East, or from the South, or from the North. So we try to combine, get a melee, and then the other thing that we actually try to gravitate towards, though, we try to trend. So the artists that what we know, what our community needs, and we do some samples, surveys, like we do ask. And I know I did do that. Those are something that you do in the background. Who would they expect? Who would they like to see us bring next time? And people will give you their honest opinion, and then we see from that as well. We see, okay, well, this is where people are gravitating towards. But for the most part, we try to make try to create some kind of an even make sure that at least we do have artists from all the 4 regions of Africa, for one, and then for two, we also try to make sure that we have enough artists to fill both stages, because we have the normal stage, the small stage, and the big stage. We want to make sure that we have enough artists, both local and international artists, to fill both stages.
Are there any artists that you can disclose to us now that we should be expecting in 2023, or?
I am not going to give you any name, but what I can tell you is that, what, we are going for the very best in the South Africa and the very best in West and Central Africa. So there are going to be some really, really, really big names, if we can just put that through. So it's going to be better than any other Afro Fest that you've seen so far.
I will give you a couple of names and I'll just watch your reaction. Are we expecting Burna Boy? Okay.
Well, I don't know. As I said, we're expecting to have, we are working on the best. If Burna Boy, falls in that this, and then maybe he could be the one.
Or Angeline Kejo,
Richard
Bona. Well, I think the reason I'm bringing up those names is because Music Africa has given us so much expectation. As we say, we want the best, so we look around and we say, okay, this is what we want. Unfortunately, you can't disclose it right now. Hopefully, we might have some time later on to to know, or when the flyers come out, we'll definitely know.
Oh,
I also mentioned about the disappointments of some people showing up and then the artist they don't show up, maybe due to logistic problems and challenges. How do you manage such situations? What happens if 2 days to the day I said, oh, I can't show up? What do you do?
Quite frankly, we can't do much, but I apologize to our fans. Apologize to our audiences, right? If whenever we make mention of an artist on our flyer, it means that we have done everything possible to get that artist at the venue. So 99% of the time, if the artist doesn't show up, it's not something within our control because we had already done our part. Before an artist goes on a flyer, we have secured a contract with the artist.
Okay, I have a private message here and I'm just going to read it. The person wants to be anonymous, which is okay with me. The question is, if I have an artist that I would like you to bring, what can I do?
Well, again, like I said, I do go out and then, ask people, general opinion, who do they think, we should bring, who are they expecting, who would they like us to bring? And then we work on that, right? So we go through a pool of artists,
well,
and then we pick
I think this
pool.
person has maybe an artist that they like or they have a contact. And how do they reach you? How do they put that artist name on that pool so that you can at least
well, this person can always get my number and then tell me. I will tell them to, if it is feasible, if we can talk on that, because again, it's not it's a team that decides, right? So it's not an individual. It's not me deciding alone. It is a team that we sit to say, okay, these are the artists that we have in the pool. How do we, which ones do we want to leverage? Which ones do we want to start contacting? And then, as time goes by, we'll see where the discussions is leading us, and then we'll be able to close in on the ones that we're getting.
Let's talk about planning, then maybe last question on planning, and then we'll move on to maybe financing. So sometimes you bring these really famous musicians, artists, Kasa, for example, and these people come with their whole equipment. How challenging it is to organize such let's take Kasa, for example. How difficult was it to get Kasa on your stage?
This is the thing. Okay, all these artists, these big artists, right, or big groups, they have their managers. They do concerts already. They do a lot of this stuff, like Casta, for example, or the group from Haiti that we brought, Taboo, Combo. They already, they already established the group is intact. So we talk to the manager, and then so they have people that we interface with, and then they would give us the contract they signed, or when we sign, they tell us the things that they would need, right? If we know that we can be able to secure and what they can bring, but we know what they tell us what they need for their band to be at optimal, right? And then we work, do our best to secure that. And some they came with their instruments, they all have, if they are coming with a band of 26 people, or like we did with Fali, so you're coming with your band, everything. So you're not so the stuff that we can put together a stage anytime. That is what we do, So we have we know how to do that. So if they say they need two keyboards, they need these types of guitars, we know how to put together that stage. So we will set that for them, So they tell us what they need, and then we have it all set up. And we have our sound engineers, they come and then they check everything. And the artists, they come before the concert to do a test, to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. And if there are any tune-ups, we get that set before they come on stage.
But some of these artists, or some of these groups, they come with their whole equipment. Like they bring everything. They come like they pack trucks and everything has to be removed from the stage, and then they put their own. How difficult is that to fly those things or ship those things here before the event?
Well, the short answer I can give you is that, you know what, that's not my none of my business. You know, we negotiate on a fee, and we pay the fee, and then they bring. You see, Femi Kuti came with a trail. How do they call this?
A trailer.
Tour bus. Came with the tour bus with the close to 20-man band. They came with the tour bus. You know, so we know that that's what they're coming with. You know, so that is factored in the contract, whatever they're doing. So we take care of that way, and they show up.
Okay, let's talk financing. Who are some of your sponsors? Can you name them?
I know I did talk a little bit about this in one of the questions.
Yes.
But typically, as you know, unlike most other festivals that we see out here, Afro Fest is free. And I say this because I know that I do attend other festivals where there is a fee, and some are even lofty fees. But we have been able to make Afro Fest free and continue to be free. So how do we get our financing for Afro Fest? We do leverage government agencies. As I told you, the key agencies we work with are the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Art Council, the Heritage Canada, Trillium. And so those are our key funders.
Okay.
And how do we get them? Normally, there is a project. You know, as I said, we have an executive director. They write out these proposals. We go through them. You know, I sign them, and then we sometimes they may have questions. They want to meet with us. We meet with them, and then we explain, you know, what we want and why we want it and stuff like that. So we have to go through all this work, and then at the end of the day.
So we are talking of. Can you disclose approximately the budget that you work with?
No.
Okay.
We work with any budget that we get. If let's say Toronto Arts Council decides that, okay, this time around they're going to give us, instead of 50,000, they're going to give us 25,000, then we're going to work around 25,000.
Is that not a risky model? I know you want to make it free. I understand it, but I'm looking at it from a business point of view. If you have the 200,000 people or 100,000 people who showed up, if you ask $1 per person, you are going to make 100,000. Are you thinking of changing this your model of making it free?
You're right, but that is something that, you know, we could also try to leverage, say maybe from our membership. Our membership is just $20. But if I tell you that we have, we get quite a bit in membership, we try to offer as much as we can with the $20 that our members give us. But again, this, as I said, it's a not-for-profit.
So okay, let's just step back and talk about your membership. Let's step back and talk about your membership. How does one become a member? Is it just you just go online and register? Is that how easy it is?
You go online, you register. We have meetings, but that we do, and then we always have a membership and a booth at every festival that we do, and pre-festivals when we do shows. Like I say, we have the Black History Month series. So wherever we have events, you know, we go and promote membership. We even sometimes some African events. Let's say if you were to do your organization to do an event, you know, we could reach out to you and say, okay, with the crowd that you're getting, you know, can we come and promote Music Africa at the event? So we do that. So there are many ways, from websites to separate events that we attend, and then we do promote our membership. And there are other through social media these days, so we have people that actually work on this and send out those requests and telling people what we can do. And now, as I said, we are working on a magazine, which we're going to try to make sure that through our vendors, we will distribute them, and hopefully we'll get the exposure that we need. Even though I don't think that our problem at this time is the exposure, because judging from the numbers, every single Afro Fest since I've been a part, has been better in terms of numbers than the previous, which means that I think we are reaching people.
I think it's better with quality as well. I've been attending this for a long time. It's really better in terms of the artists that you put on stage, in terms of the vendors that you have. I mean, I don't know if you are aware that on this, the last Afro Fest, there were people who stood on a queue for an hour, 30 minutes just to get food. And they could have left and gone anywhere around and go get something, but people really want to support those vendors, and people will do anything to attend. And this is all, I think, thanks to your leadership. So we have, we have a question. And I think maybe that's the last question I'll ask before we try to round up. You people on the board of executive and you're doing all this work, are you people being paid? And are there also other volunteer works that are available? At least I know the answer for the volunteer, but go ahead about the payment for.
Okay. So with the volunteers, though, the work is always volunteer is always there is always need for volunteers for us to get, and I believe that whatever we do it the best we can because of the volunteers that we have, And then to say, as I said, this is a not-for-profit, so we are not paid. So you need to be dedicated, you need to be committed, because you are not coming to Afro Fest or to Music Africa to earn money. That's why I started by telling you what I do and how I feed my family. Okay. Because I don't feed my family through Afro Fest, through Music Africa.
All right, it's been a pleasure having you tonight. I think we've consumed our 1 hour. Again, I want to let everybody who is here present send out a thank you to our special guest. We also want to let everybody know that the Nigerians is celebrating their Independence Day, and there will be a lot of events in Milton, Mississauga. OK Bakassi will be in town, national event venue in Toronto. There is also a Champs event that is going to be taking place tomorrow. It's a black and white party. If you are interested, please go support our sister and brother. One of our members who have been on this show is going to be the main artist. J-Boy is going to be the main artist for this show taking place at 55 Gated Court. I'll encourage everybody to go there. And also we have our brothers and sisters running for positions of public office. Please visit their website, distribute their website. If you can make a donation, we really need them if we want to have our community being represented in higher places. There are other events that will be coming up. Our next podcast is going to be in 2 weeks. I'm still trying to negotiate with the guest, and as soon as I get that, I'll send out the flyer. Mr. Pascal Atem is the president and the president chair of board of directors for Music Africa. They are the ones who organize Afro Fest. It's been a really big success story. I hope those listening have learned enough. Just before I let you go, how do those of us in the community, those listening right now, how can they reach out to their communities, to businesses, so that we together can make Afro Fest better?
That is, I think, I believe the greatest question. I know every time we organize this event, there are people who, just like we said, you had someone ask, okay, how can they suggest what artists to bring or an artist to bring and stuff like that. I believe this is a community event, and everybody has a place. I told you guys how I became a member of Music Africa and how I became the chair of Music Africa. So it was just over time. So anybody can rise up to my position if they want. You know, you just need to be committed. And as I said, we have our annual events, which we try to make it as open as we can. But true, yes, and the groups that we can send the information to, we would, but our direct means would be through our website, right? If you go to our website, there is a membership, so just click on that, and you would be able to register as a member and pay. As I said, it's a $20 fee. That's all you need to pay to become a member, and then you'll be informed as to when we are having annual meetings and stuff like that to come and then make your voice heard. You know, so I think we need the more voices we have, the better we'll get. I see there was a hand. Mimi has a hand raised. You know, I wouldn't mind taking the question though, if it's a question for me.
Okay, all right, let's take that one. Mimi, if you can unmute yourself, and if you want to ask a question, please unmute and ask. Thank you for being that gracious too, even though we've exceeded the time. Mimi, go ahead.
Okay. I really don't have a question right now, but I would definitely reach out in due time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. We also have a comment coming from our sister Godfrida saying, congratulations, Mr. Atem Pascal. Well done, Papa. So we're going to end with that comment. Again, thank you so much for being here. Well, everybody now is saying they just want to thank you. They wish you to continue with strength. So that's from Adeji Sola, who is the president of Council of Nigerian Professionals. Again, we want to thank you on behalf of Perspective Nation, everybody listening. We want to thank you so much for being that gracious, gentle, and in joining us. It's been a big, big pleasure. I think we've learned a lot. And hopefully all of us, or some of us listening, will go check out the website, and why not register to
become members.
And become members, exactly. I think I will be one of those who will be registering to become a member, and I'll encourage everybody to follow the same. This is our event.
I'll try to register as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
thank you. I appreciate you all. I am glad that you all are there too. And Mr. Efwange, I'm glad for the opportunity. I thank you for the opportunity to be able to shed some light, I believe, as to whatever myth is out there. Trust me, I am very reachable. My contact is not secret. If you have it, whoever wants it, whoever needs it, please share with them. I believe that, you know what, the only way we grow is when we listen.
Well, I think you've cleared a lot of myth. I have to be honest with that. I think you've cleared a lot of myth, and please, those of you who have listened, take the message out there. It's not that difficult. He is one of us. He is open to us. Anybody who wants to present something on Afro Fest or in any of the events that Music Africa runs and manages, you can actually do it. There is nothing stopping us from doing it. So it's, as it says, it's just a matter of time and planning. Again, thank you. I don't want to take more of your time. It's been really, really nice listening to you. And everybody listening, thank you. And
thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy your weekend.
Well, those who want to say anything, you can maybe just turn on your microphones now and shout a thank you or something. I'm going to...
Pascal, Mr. Atem, congrats. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Godfrey.